I will be doing a speech on, or be a persuasion speech on adopting animals versus going through a breeder. We'll be going through a 5-step process. First, we'll start with gaining the attention of the audience. So imagine a stadium filled with dead animals. I know that's something that people don't really want to imagine, but that's the reality of the world that we live in. There are homeless animals all over, and they live on the streets, and then they get picked up to go to like humane societies or shelters, and they run out of room. And if they don't have enough room for those animals, then they will euthanize them. So over 3 million dogs and cats are euthanized each year, and that's including 9,000 of them every day. And so basically we are creating an animal holocaust. We have all these animals that need homes, and if they don't get a home right away, or if they've been in shelter for too long, then they will get euthanized. And so that's why I'm trying to persuade people to adopt instead of going through a breeder. Because if you go to a shelter and you adopt, you are saving a life. I've saved 2 lives. I would like to save more, but my husband refuses to get another animal until we lose one of ours. We have 2 senior dogs. So the need is, we need to care for our animals. We created dogs by domesticating wolves. So, wolves, they were able to live out in the wild and survive on their own. But we domesticated them, and now they are dogs, and dogs need us. They need us to be their voice. They need us to take care of them, to feed them, to shelter them. They cannot do it on their own. Religions will tell us that God gave us dominion over the animals to care for them, and to senselessly murder millions of them is not kind or fair of us to do. We talk about how, this has a little bit. We talk about how it's, if someone has an abortion, they're killing a human life. It's like, well, we're killing living beings like every day just because we don't have room for them, or like, oh, God created them because for us to eat them. In the U.S. we don't eat dogs. They eat dogs in China and Thailand, but we don't eat them here. And I think that we could come up with something better than to kill them, especially killing 9,000 of them every day. So what I'm trying to get by is that we should adopt animals instead of going to breeders. With going to breeder, you have to spend a lot of money, you have to train them, you have to potty train them, you have to do all this with these breeded dogs, and they're just puppies. And they haven't experienced life yet. You go to a shelter, yes, you might get an animal that you might not like. You might get an animal that's not as trained as well as you like to be trained. And I don't really like the term, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I have a 12-year-old dog who we taught new tricks to. It was hard, but we trained him. He had issues with going to the bathroom in the house, and we've trained him as best as we can. And sometimes we have little accidents, but I think that we have done well with him. And you can train old dogs new tricks. With going to adopt an animal, they just want a family to love them. That's all they want, and they just want a home. They don't want to sit in a cold kennel being by themselves, not having anyone to cuddle with at night. They just want a home. They want someone to love them, and they don't want someone to adopt them and then leave them outside tethered up all the time being by themselves. Dogs they're a part of a pack. Cats, on the other hand, they're fine with being by themselves. They can be solo. But dogs, they have to be a part of a pack. And to them, their owners are their pack. They have to be with you. You can be gone for 5 hours or 5 minutes, and no matter what, they're going to be excited when you come home. So the action that we should do is with this is, we should adopt animals from rescue organizations. We can go to the Humane Society, we can go to shelters, but rescuing them from an actual rescue is always great because they really do take care of the animals and they do not euthanize them. I would always recommend going to the Best Friends Super Pet Adoption. They put it on like 2 times a year. That's actually where we got both of our pets, and we love them. And support a No Kill Utah organization. We're trying to get to a No Kill Utah by 2020. Now the new goal is 2025, and I really hope that we can get there. And if you can't adopt, you can always foster. I've always wanted to adopt or foster an animal like around the holidays, to give them, an experience where they are going to be loved and filled with joy around the holidays and not stuck alone in a cold shelter. And you can always donate your time and your money to these shelters, rescues, anything you want. So there are a lot of things that we can do to get to a no-kill Utah by 2025. And if we all, just don't buy from breeders. Just don't do it. Just go to a shelter. They have all these all different types of dogs. A lot of people will say, well, I want a specific type of dog. Like, well, you can find that at a shelter. And if you're not finding it and where you're going, you can always talk to someone and they can always find one for you somewhere else. So thanks for watching. And here is an example of an adopted dog. He's the